The Dominion defamation lawsuit against Fox News continues to reveal fascinating batches of communications from behind the scenes at Fox News during the period of time after Trump lost the 2020 election, as he was trying to use all of his lies about the election being stolen and all these different things to install himself president for another 4 years. And this insight we're getting into what was going on behind the scenes at Fox News is definitely fascinating and stunning, and I have more for you today. Credit to Media Matters, Matthew Gertz specifically, for putting this out nicely, these bits of communications that we're going to take a look at here, starting with the CEO of Fox News, Suzanne Scott, responding to a fact check that had happened on the air on Fox News, and not happy with it. Not happy with the election lies being fact checked. This has to stop now, Suzanne Scott writes in an email to another person at Fox. I'm going to address this with you and Jay and Lowell tomorrow. This is bad business, and there clearly is a lack of understanding what is happening in these shows. The audience is furious, and we're just feeding them material bad for business, she says. If the truth is bad for your business, your business is wrong. I'll just say that. Then next email here is Suzanne Scott responding to an individual on air, making clear with the tone and what they were saying that they thought these claims were absurd. That was coming through on air, and Suzanne Scott wrote, I'm getting major incoming on her editorializing at the top of Dana's show and her dismissive tone and indifference to the audience. We need to manage this. I saw she just did a hit in Cavuto. I hope she didn't double down. I can't keep defending these reporters who don't understand our viewers and how to handle stories. The audience feels like we crapped on and we have damaged their trust and belief in us. We lost 25K subscribers from Fox Nation. We can fix this, but we cannot smirk at our viewers any longer. I mean, it's all there. It's not that we didn't expect these conversations to be going on behind the scenes. We did, of course. These were the decisions that they were making. That's why Fox News is what it is. But to see it and for it to be this clear and explicit, just listen, our viewers want the lies, so we're going to give them the lies. That's what's good for business, is pretty stunning. And Fox News is indeed a propaganda network. Then we get to Tucker Carlson, a text exchange he had with another individual at Fox about Sidney Powell, the conspiracy theorist individual who was Trump's lawyer at one point. But then the White House kind of distanced themselves from her. And the other person within this text exchange says she's a psychopath. She's getting Trump all spun up and has zero evidence. Same with Rudy. NSC Cyber did a thorough analysis. There's nothing to it. And then Tucker Carlson said, effing B word. And the other person said, and she hasn't stopped. And then Tucker Carlson said, crazy person. And then an article was sent by the other person, and Tucker Carlson said, that C word, the misogynistic C word, I hope she's punished. And the other person said, I'm going to destroy her. And obviously made clear by this, and not surprising, that Tucker Carlson is a low character person in private as well. But yet another example of how much he didn't believe the very lies, that while he pushed back a little against Sidney Powell on air, at one point, for the most part, he was fully on board and with the election being stolen narrative, and helped to popularize and implement those beliefs into the minds of so many viewers, him as the most viewed cable news host in America, as disturbing as that is. And then we get to Maria Bartromo, an individual, another Fox News host, who seemed to really believe the election lies. Most of the hosts, as we just looked at with Tucker Carlson, didn't believe the election lies, but helped to perpetuate them. Maria Bartromo seems to actually believe them, at least based on past text exchange we looked at. But now this email says otherwise. Take a look at this. Maria Bartromo writing to Abby Grossberg, her former producer, the ex-producer that's now suing Fox News. This is Maria Bartromo writing to Abby Grossberg. You believe Biden won fair? That's exactly how it's written. There are a few issues, but I don't believe there is a mass cheat. Again, exactly how it's written. I've not seen any proof so far of the ballot fraud. So recognizing there that she doesn't believe the ballot fraud. She doesn't believe the mass cheat, as she called it, even though she was one of the most avid pushers of these election lies. And then we get to a little story that is highlighted through some of these emails here from Matthew Gertz. Here's November 20th, 2020 email from Jeanine Pirro's executive, another Fox News host, executive producer, to Fox executives saying that a pre-taped Pirro monologue is rife with conspiracy theories and BS and is yet another example why this woman should never be on television. And you can see that there. So an executive producer is saying that to executives about a pre-taped monologue, and then that monologue gets played on air. And as Matthew Gertz also goes on to discuss, Jeanine Pirro actually got promoted even more than was a host on The Five. And I want to just remind you, for the heck of it, how bonkers all of this was, and just give you a taste of what was going on. When we talk about, Jeanine Pirro bringing on Sidney Powell, a reminder about what that looked like.
Welcome back. The election results in several battleground states continued to be under intense focus as allegations of voter fraud are being investigated. Trump campaign attorney and former federal prosecutor Sidney Powell joins me now with more. All right, good evening, Sidney. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure you're very busy now. Can you give me some idea of what you're working on now and what exactly you are doing on the Trump in this effort to identify problems with the election?
I am working on the massive aspect of system-wide election fraud, definitely impacting the swing states and likely going far beyond that. We're talking about the alteration and changes in millions of votes, some being dumped that were for President Trump, some being flipped that were for President.
Okay, so you remember. Holy smokes, absolutely wild the things that people were believing and still believe about the election without evidence, it must be noted, once again. But there it is. I mean, Jeanine Pirro's executive producer getting that what he was helping to put out there was absolutely bonkers. Maria Bartromo apparently also recognizing her claims to be lies. Tucker Carlson, all of his wild stuff, once again reiterating how little he believed in so many of these claims that were being perpetuated, and the CEO of Fox News admitting it's bad for business, to tell the truth. That tells you a lot about Fox News.